Ulonga tabati yada to ye kuma da ifa. Inu to ye ko je love bipa. Oba tala, oba takutakun. Zongo eshu, ogun oya osun. Kini sheshe, ton she nile yo. Ojelo jara.
Alafia, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I'm your host, Ifayemi, and we're back with another one. Shout out to Olomitutu, Ifayemi for coming back and tapping into these Ashe streets with us again, family. Alafia, peace and blessings. How you doing, y'all?
Kale, I am beautiful. I'm good. I hope everyone had a prosperous day. How you doing, brother? How you doing, black man?
Ready to get this work, man. Look, we
know it.
Second wind of a double header tonight, man. Shout out to Uncle Hank, had us on there on his platform at 7 this evening, and so we was talking about.
Oh, you gotta drop that on Facebook or social media so I can check it out.
Absolutely. I'm gonna holler at him. See, can I get that link and share that? Actually, I might be able to share the link. It should be if it's live.
Oh yeah, share the link. It's important that we construct it. The internet has made it where we could definitely construct our entertainment and edutainment. They don't have that hold that they once had if we have the mindset to free ourselves, you know. I remember it used to be a time, and then that's why we don't have the mindset, because for 50 years straight they programmed everything we saw. We wanted to enjoy television. We wanted to enjoy the cinema. It was going to be with their messages. That's very important to know. Like for decades we went through that, you know. Yeah. So, but now we don't have to. We don't have to.
And I wanna jump back off on that, because shout out to the brother, what's his name? Jordan Peele for Get Out. Shout out to the brother, what's his name? Ryan, what's the brother that did Sinners? Coogler. Shout out to Ryan Coogler. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of directors, like I said a lot, but there's some directors who are bringing the real raw deal, you know what I'm saying? Raw information, and they're putting it in the arts, you know, and I love it because they're doing it from an independent perspective, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. There's a lot of them out there. And we don't need to be so caught up in the budget, right? I love me a good Nollywood movie, and the budget be trash. They'll turn a whole apartment into a whole village. You know what I'm saying? So the storyline still goes strong. So I done come across a bunch of good Tubi movies, and you be like, is that me in the background? You don't know. It be real low budget. You know what I'm saying? You be like, they ran that footage in the last 4 movies, that stock footage. But that's fine because the plot is there. I love the originality that be in the plot. So shout out to all of those independent filmmakers that make shout out all artists that make art from the heart.
Yeah.
Because it can be lucrative and it cannot be. But shout out to all the artists that make art from the heart, because that's important. But especially in the cinema, because people like to throw the budget around a lot and let that be equated to quality. And we've seen some quality low budget films. Yeah.
And all money ain't good money either.
And all money ain't good money.
So and shout out to I cannot think of her name. Damn it, this is the second show in a row. I had somebody on my mind. I couldn't think of the name, but her name, I want to say, is Kimi. Is it Kimi Visions or Visuals? The sister who directed, please tell me you've seen that series King of the Boys on Netflix.
I haven't.
Oh, you gotta see that one, man. That series.
No, I have seen King of the Boys with the lady. Oh no, I have seen King of the Boys.
You know
I definitely seen King of the Boys.
Man, listen, that's my joint right there.
Phenomenal.
It's a movie and a series. I saw the series, which came out second before I saw the movie. I didn't even know it had a movie. I was watching the series. I kind of stumbled upon it, but it was dope. And then after I finished the series, I was like, oh, they had a movie too? So the movie came out before the series. So I watched that too. But they did a hell of a job with that series too.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it.
So before we tap in, and we about to, speaking of artists and doing things from the heart, shout out to the tribe, because they be talking about me, talking about I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my ish, and I am them. So, but you are artists too, and we spoke about this, I think, definitely on the first episode or first last time. But I just so happened to be doing a drive-by on social media a couple days ago, and I seen this sister dropping some spoken word, and she was big up in the brothers, and I was like, you know what, I like this. This the kind of stuff I like to hear right here, man, because every time I turn around, I feel like they bashing brothers and
all
talking
the
reckless and
time.
all kind of crazy foolishness, but it's refreshing to hear, you know what I'm saying, the praises, or at least just the appreciation of the brothers, you know what I mean, and coming from one of the mothers. So I give thanks and gratitude to that. Do you want to share a little bit about that piece that I heard?
Yeah, it's definitely my ode to the black man. I will call it one of my classics. Shout out to Sister Karima. Karima Brown put on a fashion show called Stitch the Runway. It was a phenomenal display of African art and mastery. I never knew I knew it, but I don't think I had given adequate appreciation to the art form that is modeling. Those models told a story. They embodied not just with the clothing. They literally took the clothing, and I don't know if the artist who created it had spoken to them before, but it was like they embodied those clothing. Like every time it was the same models modeling like 3 or 4 different clothing lines, and every time they modeled a different clothing line, they gave you something. Every model gave you something different with a hint of their individual flavor. And I personally had never seen nothing like. I mean, I believe in black magic. I believe whenever a black person can do something I can't do, it's magic, and you can't convince me otherwise. When my mechanic make my car go, he's magical. You know what I'm saying? Like I just feel like it's all magic. So, but with that, I live a very enchanted life because of that. I live a life that allows me to see beauty every day. Because black people do magical things for me every day, and that in those artists, the way they took their creativity of mind and created clothing. It was a brother who did a art piece, and not no little art piece like I don't know measurements, but it was a big art piece, and he did it. He started at the top of the show and ended it at the end. He unveiled it to us all. He was painting on the stage while facing the crowd. And Duafe, shout out to Duafe. She made mocktails that were healthy and herbal, but they definitely put you in the mind of a little spicy margarita. It was a beautiful experience. And Sister Karima cultivated a wonderful show. And she also invited edutainment. She said, hey, I was so nervous because I was like, I always thought my poetry was kind of heavy. So I'm like, a fashion show? Am I going? You know what I'm saying? There's people come like, we don't want to hear about Black Power. We got to see, but it wasn't that. Everything was an edutainment. It was mindful. It was a salute to Haile Selassie and his queen and the day of their crowning. And so that's what we have to know in this culture, that Africans prior to colonization did nothing just for vanity and fun, right? Everything had a meaning. Everything still could be entertaining and fun. It could be, when it was time to be entertaining and fun, it could be. Learning is fun. Celebrating is fun. The duality. You don't just kill an animal because you're hungry, and you certainly don't kill an animal for sport. You don't just dance because you feel like dancing, and you tell the story. You sing because there's something to sing. You dance because it's something to dance about. And that fashion show reminded me of that. So when she told me, I was nervous. So I went to her. She said, "Sister, do your thing." That's why I called on you. I hadn't hit mics I ain't hit a stage like that in years. In years. Let me tell her I wasn't a poet no more. When people talk to me, I'd be like, I used to be a poet. I wrote a book one time and everything. But she reminded me that there is no past tense. And what's crazy is if you study like the Yoruba language, because I've been taking language courses, there's no past tense. The is the is.
Yeah.
The present is the past is the present is the future.
Yeah.
And she reminded me of that. So I definitely did one of my classics. It never gets old because it always needs to be said, because there's always a shortage of just telling Black men thank you. You know, thank you for still existing. That's
Yep.
that's the bare minimum of that thanks. But what we don't understand is that's such a powerful statement to say, because they want Black men dead. They want the shell of the Black man existing in fragments. But if they could just keep Black women producing Black bodies to do what they want them to do, they'll keep us around. But one thing about it, I tell my sister this all the time. We talk about, like, when you raise animals, we have to know how Europeans see us as animals. When you raising animals, it's a reason why when you do Eba, that the majority of Orisha take male animals. And it has nothing to do with the gender of the Orisha. Nothing in African societies is done out of just because or mysticism. A good farmer knows if you got a farm full of goats, you don't want a lot of male goats around. They're useless. They troublesome more than that. You can't keep nothing under control. If you got a bunch of male goats, you're not going to be able to keep them contained. If you have a bunch of male animals, you're not going to be able to keep them contained very long. They're going to want to break loose and be off. That is the same conditioning with Africans in America. We were raised to be domestic. We are a domestic animal experiment. They did not domesticate any African in the diaspora more than they did the African in America. We are an experiment. That we nobody lives more intimately. We house cats. We not outside. The Africans in the Caribbean and in South America, they outside. Like, they still belong to them, but they free range. They free range chickens. We in-house. When your animal's in-house, it must be spayed and neutered. When your animal's in-house, it must be kept a certain way. So, give me just a second, y'all. I'm sorry.
No, you good.
Oh, goodness gracious. Let me see.
Yeah, no, you good.
Yeah, but when your animal's in the house, it's got to be kept a certain way. So with that, because they do us like that. Okay. Hang on.
No, you good. It's funny because we were just talking about we were talking about a lot on the last one. On the last one, 2 hours ago, and the one yesterday. But but I feel like a lot of it's perspective too, though. Right? Because if you think about it, and I'm pretty confident that you I would love to hear your answer to this. What's the difference between human and mankind?
Hugh.
But okay, because that's where I'm going.
You know what's crazy?
Big difference.
Mankind. I was just telling somebody this last night. That's how you know this conversation is supposed to happen. Last night, we are man. Then you have a mankind. They're kind of a man. They are part Neanderthal, kind of a man. But we are the man. The terms tell you what it is. So it's important that you keep the man's numbers down if you're trying to create a world in which mankind runs it, because mankind's creation doesn't make any sense. And if there's too many humans, they're gonna demand correction. So, but there's no more phenomenal, fantastical, or beautiful body than that of the Black man and Black woman. So they want to keep the Black man's numbers down. They want to even the ones they want to keep just the shell of, but they don't want Black men. They want Black males. They want adult Black bodies that they can do with what they will.
Yeah,
because they already control the mind. So to see Black men stand up, protect their own, to see Black men fight for their mental health, to see Black men fight against this system, to see Black men fight to still love Black women and Black women only. That kind of stuff needs to just every now and then we got to say thank you. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to always act like the black, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think like there's a disconnect. And I want to say it's because black women are hurt, conditioned as well, but also because we're hurt. We saw our mothers cry in ways their sons didn't. Some sons saw that of their mom, but we as women, because we're women, so we understood what it was, and we might cry in front of our daughters that we may not do in front of our sons, right? Or when those tears drop, that daughter, especially when she's of a certain age, understands exactly what those tears mean, whereas the son may never. So we those women, the women who saw their mama crying while they were singing Betty Wright, no pain, no gain, no man is better than no me. They saw that generation. We saw that, and we was like, yeah, nah, we don't want that. We don't want that.
Right.
So, but we all want to be loved, and our first choice is always our reflection. So you got a bunch of I'm not saying accept any BS off of anyone. I just want to remind black men to dip into that beautiful compassion that you have and hang on to it a little bit longer when you're dealing with sisters and see their pain instead of the other stuff, even when they don't see yours. Because sometimes women, we're sisters, we stand for that too. Sometimes we see past the pain that you guys exhibit as opposed to other things, but we have to be honest. Also, a black man's pain can definitely be the death of a woman a lot quicker than a black woman's pain can be the death of a black man. And that's not to say one has it worse than the other. We're just saying that the reason why sometimes black women have to be so hard or defensive is because if a black man don't know what to do with his pain, that could be the end of you that day.
Oh yeah.
You know? So I just want us to keep that in mind that it's not it's not a us versus them.
Right.
It's not a black man versus black woman. It is definitely all black everything in the war against global white terror that has shattered the black family.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like, because there's a lot going on, but do you feel like when it comes to that, because I do feel like pain and I wholeheartedly feel like trauma has a lot to do with us and the way we respond, the way we react, the way we, you know what I'm saying, what we project, what we put out, all that. I get that, right? But I also know that we are the most powerful beings on this planet in regards of sheer power, whether you're talking about creativity, whether you're talking about the rhythm and flow, whether you're talking about vision, whether you're talking about whatever, production, music, sports, whatever you want to call it. There's just that you can't argue that. I don't give a damn who you are. You can't argue the fact that there is a difference between these people that we call humans, these people that we see with melanin, these people who have the 666 of the carbon. You know what I'm saying? Of what else? Because, you know, that's another thing. They try to keep us away from that, right? But so what I say all that to say is, when it comes to that, how much do we have to continue to give everybody a pass for not being able to tap in to that God self, to that God force, to that, you know what I'm saying, that mind's eye, that ori, that pineal gland, whatever you want to call it, especially now, because before we came on here, we was talking about solar flares. We was talking about, you know, a lot of different things that are happening now. And a lot of it, I feel like, can be used against us or is being used and weaponized against us. But I also feel like a lot of it we can transmute, kind of like Black Panther when T'Challa, you know, when his sister gave him the suit, when, you know what I'm saying, every time something hit him, it didn't affect him, but he can then internalize that power, transmute it, and send it back out. I love that part because I feel like that's how I look at life. Like, I look at all the bumps, the bruises, the punches, the kicks, you know what I'm saying, all that. Like, yup, keep them coming. Keep them coming. Because, boy, when that goddamn thing explode, boy, I'm telling you now, you're going to have a supernova on your hands. You're going to get some galaxies collapse. Like, we're talking about Thanos now. Like, so keep on. Because everybody ain't the one that's going to lay down like a speed bump. Not everybody. There's some of us that got energy that is far beyond their comprehension. I feel like we all have it, but I think only some of us are willing to even entertain it or even want to think about tapping into it, right? So what can we do to kind of activate that into our people, allowing us to continue to just be on that woe is me victim mentality bullshit?
First of all, we have to know that woe is me is the thing. Woe is fucking me. Also, we also have to hold on, let me see. We have our brains, we have been under attack for close to 2,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
Generation after generation after generation after generation. Then that kind of fighting happens. And then America happens. The Americas, the things the Europeans did to Africans when they kidnapped us from the interior, walked us 2 to 3 weeks to the points of no return, shoved us on top of each other in ships for 3 months as we defecated, menstruated on top of one another, laid next to decaying dead bodies for 3 months, then shoved us to another set of dungeons where they did what's called seasoning for another 2 months, where they put lime in every part of our orifices, then rinsed us off, then greased us up, then stuck us with foster slave parents to teach us how to acclimate to a farm, then force bred us for hundreds of years. This is a pattern that consistently happened for hundreds of years. And then one day they said, hey, we're not going to feed you no more. Go figure it out. And then the moment we walked out the gate, they said, hey, you run around here loitering, you're going to jail, you got to be on a chain gang. And then they made Jim Crow laws, and then we couldn't walk down the street without being lynched. And then at one point there's Africans who like, well, at least on the plantation, just being the property of Master Joseph kept us from being lynched. Now being free could get you killed just walking up the street. And then they give us heroin. And then they send our men off to fight in their wars, hook them on heroin, and then send them back to our communities. And then they weaponize the prison industrial complex and shoot it up even more. Then they drop crack and guns into our community. And then they say no more crack and guns, and they arrest all the daddies for the dope and tell all the mamas, now there's no more welfare mother unless you want to put your child on prescription medication. And then we have today, and then we say, oh, well, when are we just going to wake up? What? You can't wake up from a nightmare. Ain't nobody allowed you to sleep. We are delirious. We have never had an opportunity to rest. What happens when you don't get no sleep? What happens? You ever been up for like 24, 48 hours?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Me too. Now you take that to our souls and say that's what we have been enduring for 500 years. We have never gotten a good night's rest. As a people, we have not gotten a good night's rest in over 500 years. We are delirious. We are delirious. And some of us understand in the midst of that delirium, we take cat naps. That's what knowledge of self is. So it's a cat nap in the insanity that is the nightmare of being a child of the kidnapped, of the torture. That's what's so to answer where we get back to it. I think it's at a point where those of us that know better just got to do better. We got to figure out how we standing in our own way. It's a time that those of us, like for example, we're having these conversations. You approached me, Black man. I needed that big brother move to come have these conversations, because I had stopped having them. Got in my silo and was just preaching to the choir. I mean, the choir is great, but that's not where the people are. But we've got to know that everything we see is a product of 2,000 years, and especially for Africans in America, 2,000 years with a concentration in 500 years of this horrible horrible thing that continuously happens to us. Right now, you have Black people in 2025 talking about they don't want to travel to the South because they lynching. 2025, we still scared of getting lynched. And it's not an invalid fear. It's a thing. It's 2025 and they are still pulling Black people over and lynching them. They are still making us disappear in 2025. So the way we get out of it is we have to return to self, and we have to return to the sanctity, sanity, and safety of culture. And if we don't understand that, we will forever be lost. And we don't. And it is more than songs. It's more than dashikis. It's more than air balls. It's more than that. The Orisha is a science. The Orisha is a science, and it is the mastery in which we once ran a balanced world by. And so we now exist where they tell us our science was archaic, it was useless, because they need to keep us in chaos. They need to, in order for the European to exist, the world must remain in chaos. And so the closer he gets to extinction, the more chaotic it will get, because that is how he hangs on. Yurugu must have chaos. If the world is ever balanced, if the African is ever balanced, the world will then be balanced. That balance will come in a mighty way that will require more physical use than what we're currently using, and way more spiritual use than what we're using. And so we got to stay unfocused. We have to not understand the science of the Orisha. We have to inculcate Western mysticism to our deities. We have to keep associating God and Olodumare when they are nowhere near the same. Olodumare is Olodumare. God is a fantasy character. Olodumare is the great science. We've got to return to. And in order to return to that, we have to let go of the things that are not of us. We have to study that. And the way we study that is we study our history pre-colonialism. The things we did pre-colonialism is the African. And we have to go past the Arab influence as well. So we have to dig deep, deep, deep. And the reality of it is we have the scholars who have dedicated their lives to that. Everybody come in with a mission. And the Africans who have dedicated their life to that, I know Dr. Clark dedicated his life to uncovering our history. I know Ibaratanu. I know Dr. Chancellor Williams dedicated his life to Ibaratanu. I know Dr. Amos Wilson dedicated his life to helping us break down the African minds to figure out who we are. I know that Baba Malemba Baruti has dedicated his life, King Kamashe. I know these Africans have dedicated their life. I know Yeye Oshun Bumi Olafemi has dedicated, Her Royal Majesty has dedicated her life to unlocking the chambers of our brains. I know Mama Maremba Ani has dedicated her life, King Kamashe, to unlocking the chambers of our brain. So when we have the ability to sit at the feet of those masters who have dedicated their life to this walk, first of all, we should be sitting at their feet every chance they get. Every African under the sound of my voice should be donating to the Akabin Institute. Baba Malemba Baruti should never, and Mama Ya should never want for anything. They've given us too much. Sister Charlotte and Baba P. O'Neill should never want for anything. They've given us too much. Her Royal Majesty, Olafemi should never want, Yeye should never want for anything. She's given us too much. So we should be honoring our elders as well as venerating our ancestors. We can't skip past our elders and go straight to our ancestors. Those elders and ancestors who gave for you to be here, you should always be honoring them. And that they'll help you remember. And the way you know you're remembering something African is when you getting ready to do something that maybe you've done before or you've witnessed done before, and something pricks your heart and your mind and says that's not right. That don't make no sense. Things that you once found funny ain't funny no more. I know for me, there's things I remember I used to slap knee, roll on the floor at a good Def Comedy Jam episode. Now it's few and far in between when I look back and see it as to what I find funny still. I don't find making fun of African women who have children out of wedlock and need to rely on this slave government to feed them. I don't find it funny that we make fun of them. I don't find the abuse we learn from our abusers to pass down to our children in the form of everybody got whooped. That ain't funny no more. That ain't funny no more. It ain't funny. It ain't funny when black men put on dresses and wigs and pantomime as women. That ain't funny no more. And if it's still funny to you, something wrong, something ain't clicked on yet. That ain't funny no more. I love Martin. When I tell you I love me some Martin, I love me some Martin. My Mama Bird, that's my episode. You understand what I'm saying? But the more and more, it ain't funny no more. I used to be able to watch Martin on repeat. And that ain't no slight on Martin, talented actor, but it ain't funny no more. It ain't funny. And it's not funny. And it's not funny because of what they do to us. Because they though they put on a dress every now and then, they not running around. If it's 10 black men on TV, 8 of them in a dress or kissing each other. That ain't funny no more. Because it's 80. So if it's 80 white men on TV and 8 of them kissing and in dresses, that's not a slight on their masculinity or whatever. But when it ain't but 10 slots for us, and 80% of those slots are filled by non-hetero straight black men giving images to little black boys that are sitting in front of these TVs, that ain't funny no more.
Never was.
Right. But it was when our mind wasn't right. So when we get there, it can't be funny no more, man.
It goes back to perspective though.
It does.
That goes back to kind of how, like, I set the question up, and look, I'm very strategic of how I do, I do things, because there's a reason why I wanted to, get that response that I got from you, because I knew where I was. Actually where I'm about to go, I didn't know, but I knew I was going somewhere. But Spirit kind of jumped into me and said, you know what, you need to go here. So
that's why you hear. That's why you hear more about Batala. I follow.
So we were going to speak about griots, however you want to pronounce it. Tomatoes, potatoes, griots. One of my favorites, I have to quote, because not only was this legend of griot far beyond his time, but he was one of the ones that I said earlier, everybody ain't letting that shit go. Everybody ain't folding like a lawn chair. Everybody's not laying down to be a speed bump. Some of us are here and ready to go to do whatever it takes by any means necessary to make shift happen. And in the process of making shift happen, if we have to, we'll make shit happen or blow the fuck up if we have to, because that's what we came here for. So I say all that to say one of my favorite griots, I want to quote, because he's more than just a griot. He's more than just the artist. He's more than just a talent. He's also very prophetic. And so this particular story that I want to share in honor of one of my favorite griots, it was prophetic. And I believe I was about 14 years old when this particular story got shared with the world. So I'm gonna quote this verbatim. They're cutting off welfare. All he wanted to be was a soldier. This is Soldier Story from Pac's first album, Tupacalypse Now. He said, they're cutting off welfare. They think crime is raising now. You got cops killing blacks. You got blacks killing blacks. This shit just gonna get worse. And they just gonna become soldiers, straight soldiers. So he predicted all this back in 94.
He did.
Okay. And so we're seeing all this happening right now, 2025. The person who got elected wasn't there in 2024. Anyway, none of this is a coincidence to me. And so Ibatanu to his godmother, the honorable Ibatanu. It's crazy because it's the second time she's been like ever present, but aside of Shakur, because the camaraderie and the chemistry that I see within this pantheon thing is powerful, because Pac was far ahead of his time, but he planted seeds that those who had the ears to hear, he resurrected the dead. He raised the dead. Because shout out to the elder we just had on here, Mama Queen Cynthia Martin L. The show we had together was titled, raising, the dead, the dead in law, black slaves in law, you know what I'm saying, the rebirth, because she has information that does that from the physical realm and from this existence that we have in this corporation that we call a country, right? But Pac did it from a spiritual level, from an artistic level, from a poetic level, from, you know what I'm saying, whichever way you want to call it. Some of us believe in some of that. Some of us live by that. So I do wholeheartedly feel like everybody's not laying down and everybody ain't, you know what I'm saying, like just looking at them like they got this wrapped up. No, because I don't see it that way. I see it that we got. Yeah, so it's like, I just really do believe that, straight soldiers is a real thing. And I feel like we just have to tap into who and what we are and what we always have been, and not allow ourselves to ever be considered to be anything less. And I think once we can get that seed planted and enough of us is willing to, pour in or believe and really feel that, then I feel like that the rest is history. Shout out to Krylet Crisis. I appreciate the super chat, Krylet.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I feel like those of us that understand, I grew up in church, so I always liken our struggle, those of us that are aware, to that of when Noah was building the ark. So, when Noah was building the ark, he built that ark for a lot of years. And when it wasn't raining, and people the villagers was walking by laughing at him. He built that while his sons, imagine his sons were teenagers, and when they wanted to go play with their friends, they couldn't. They had to go work on the ark. You gotta go work on your daddy crazy ark. Your dad, what? Your dad's still building a what? And they got older and they had children of their own. They got wives, and their wives had to understand that we're gonna be married. I got my job every day is to go work on the ark, and ain't no rain coming, and the people just walking by laughing. And then one day it started raining, and they're still working on the ark because it's just a little rain, and the people walking by laughing. But then 10 days in, and it's rain and still, and now the people looking at the ark, and then 20 days in, the water start rising, and the people want to get in the ark, but they're in the ark and they close the door, and they survived a storm. That's where we are right now as a people. Those of us that know we got to build an ark. When people walk by and they see us building an ark, they're going to do one or two things. They're going to laugh and keep walking, or they're going to pick up a hammer, or they might laugh and keep walking a couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of years. And then one day they come by and pick up a hammer. If they make that choice, they make that choice. They don't. We'll have enough men and women on the ark to bring back who we can bring back. Shoot, like that's it. We don't go forever. So maybe some folks won't make it this round. They'll come back later. But I think it's very important for us to study history. I think that's something we've gotten away from, even as those of us who are conscious. We need to be avid book readers. You need to commit yourself to 10 minutes a book a day. 10 minutes. Pick up a book. 10 minutes a day. Let it be a non-fictional, African-centered book about who you are, where we are, and where we're going. We have not collected enough, because there's this thing amongst us intellectuals that we've collected enough information to stop collecting. We have not collected enough information to stop collecting. Those of us that are intellectuals, have collected enough information to start doing. But you continue to study. Yeah. We study the programs that worked. The reason the government worked so hard and swiftly on the Panthers is because their program was tight. I I salute their work. I also do believe in no sacred cows. So I think one of the downfalls of the major organization was thinking that there could be unity amongst those who happen to just share their viewpoints that were not Black, and that is never the case. This is something that we can only do for ourselves. And until we get that, those organizations that still believe they can co-op, by all means, that's fine. We talk about, Baba Rudy has a book called Centered. And it's a great book on how we move amongst the Africans and the Negroes and the Negroes. You know, they're in the niggas. There's differences, right?
What's the name of it again? Yeah.
The name of the book is Centered.
Centered, okay.
Yes. And the reality of it is we can use these things to know that we hold the center. Those of us who are Africa for Africans and returning to the ways of our ancestors, we hold a different line, right? Also, we have to be patient with ourselves. Baba Rudy has a quote that says, "When swimming in the sea of insanity, we all get wet," right? I'm having a serious conversation with you right now. We're having a conversation about life, but that don't mean that you might not see a Olomitutu out somewhere and you might get a glimpse of Sister Tree, you know what I'm saying, or Tents or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you'd be like, oh my gosh, she does that. She does. She does. She does that. She does that too. And also, right.
Look, your ass get caught in that flood, boy. Look, because you talking about Olakun still. So look.
Right. So we adjusting, right? Yeah. We're all adjusting. We're all shedding the layers of this insanity. Remember, the Europeans co-opted our brains so much we dream in English. That's how deep we're digging ourselves back from. This is just my suggestion. I would love to see everybody do it. I would suggest everybody study Yoruba as a language. Africans need a language that we all speak. I am leery against Swahili because it is part Arabic. The language of a people teaches you what those people's core values. If you study African languages, there's certain words that don't exist in our original languages, such as old folks' homes or daycares, because our value system doesn't discard our elders to a wasteland separate from the family. And our cultures don't take our children and place them with strangers so the able-bodied adults can hurry and be productive. That's capitalism that only finds use in useful bodies. So when we return to our languages, we understand who we are more. We understand what does and doesn't exist and why it does and doesn't exist. And we figure out who we are. So I suggest that everybody get your book 10 minutes a day. We can start there. 10 minutes a day, read the book. Just read the book. Give yourself 10 minutes to read and digest. Even if you read for 5 minutes and then just digest and think about what you read for the other 5. That is a start. There are people who have not read a book since they were forced to by Europeans in the European educational school system. That is insane. Because what's even crazier is we get on the internet with all of these big, huge ideas, not understanding that we've done no actual deprogramming to our brain. We listen to whomever comes across our YouTube, and if they have a charismatic enough voice, we just believe what they say. I can't tell you how many people have told me some insane things, and I say, well, where'd you get that from? And they say, no, I just know. And turns out they got it from a YouTube person. And I say, well, where'd they get it from? They don't know. They don't have any sources. Or the person they got it from, they have no way of vetting their scholarship. You don't know this person just picked up the phone tomorrow and started talking about stars, moons, and everything, but it sounds good to you, and you just eating it up. And now you crazy with them.
Yeah.
And we can't get on one page with that. I also think we like to spiritualize our way out of discipline. Nature has order.
Oh yeah.
Nature has do's, don'ts, rules, and regulations. So if you're around here with your unks and your head wraps and your elekes acting like you don't have no rules and regulations, and you're not owed into the culture. When you put on elekes, you are part of a cultural system.
Mm.
You are part of a cultural system. Out here being rogue is not an option. Y'all see my eleke? Y'all know when my issue eleke got white in it? Because I've had this is one of the few elekes that ain't popped on me. This is the this is my original eleke. This eleke is over 10 years old now. So when you take the spiritual path, certainly time is not linear. So your downloads can come intensely and swiftly. And your education can expand much quicker than in their school system for a couple of reasons. Their school system is made slow so people can keep up. So therefore, no, you will definitely you can definitely matriculate at a lightning pace when it comes to your culture, because it's just you remembering this thing you've lived for tens of thousands of years anyway. But just like anything else, if you don't have the vocabulary to adequately hear spirit, it's going to come off muffled. I can't be an interpreter, though I've taken a couple of Yoruba lessons. You can't drop me in Yoruba land and expect me to be your interpreter. We can't get nothing but hey bye, leave me alone, and a couple of other things, because that's all I got. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got. I can do it. I can cool it, and that's about. That's what I got. So, but as my vocabulary improves, then I can be an intercessor between someone who speaks English and someone who speaks Yoruba. It's the same thing with spirit. We are everybody want to be spiritual because we are spiritual beings, but our communication has been severed through the trauma of colonialism, enslavement. So in order to reconnect those dots, we have to read the text and the books of the Africans who have given their lives, and the documentaries and the videos. They are all important, and the audio books. Even if you can't get your 10 minutes in with your book physical, if you could do it in an audio book on the way to work, on the way to class, I'm proud of you, African. Just take that time to discipline your brain to focus on something that you want to learn about in order to further the cause of African sovereignty, because that's where we have to be. If our spirituality is not conducive for our liberation, we don't need it. We don't need it. No, I mean, I understand. And part of that is getting yourself aligned. So that's not to say that you don't take your time to develop that relationship with Orisha for yourself, especially the one who owns your head, the one you have the agreement with, because all of that is about your alignment. But if we do not take the time to make sure that the things we are doing is for the liberation of our people, it is a waste of time.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree. Let me ask you this, because this is I know we're getting close to the time, but this is a question that I think God's Spirit gave it to me, reminded me of it. I didn't even have it in my notes, but it was something that I did have, excuse me, in my mental Rolodex to ask you, because you're someone who I can't wait to hear your answer, because I value it, because I feel like you can see it from both sides. Shout out to the tribe. We're having a private community call Saturday, I think 5 p.m. I just posted the link in there Saturday in the Patreon. But how significant is doing shadow work to work on trauma within, know thyself, prior to getting initiated?
I don't know, because my Yawo year was my shadow work year. My Yawo year took me up and through there. But then also, Olokun is the owner of shadow work. Shadow work is Olokun's domain. So I know it was necessary for me You know, so I think there's a misconception, right? And I think it's because we use the term priest. The idea that when one gets initiated, that is the end. When actually that's just the beginning. I gotta tell anybody, I didn't get initiated to do none of this. I mean, I knew I had a work to do for Black people. I didn't think I didn't think I was gonna be this, but I knew I had a work to do for Black people. But I got initiated because I was at a Misa and they told me something was growing in my stomach, and if I didn't get initiated, I was gonna die. And a local wanted to save me. That is why I got initiated so swiftly. And sure enough, I got initiated. My throne day was April 28th. February 28th. April 20th, still in my 3 months. I was in the hospital doubled over in pain with a condition I did not know I had because something was growing in my stomach. And a local wanted to save me. And a local wanted to save me because a local had heard my cries. Before I knew a local was my head, I was doing Ori work. And my Ori made me a promise. And that is between me and my Ori. But with that promise could not be fulfilled if I didn't live. So Olokun saw me ask her daughter and said, I will grant you this safety in what your Ori is requesting. So I believe that shadow work, I don't know if it's necessarily before or after initiation. I will say this though. Initiation don't mean you go out there and be nobody else's priest. Initiation could be just for you to be saved. Initiation doesn't mean you're meant to do work for the people. Not like that. Not like this. This is Irosu Meiji is why I do this work. If you know, you know. That's Irosu Meiji say that's what you're supposed to do if that's what come out in the calorie for you. But everybody don't get initiated because they got to do work. And that's okay. Everybody don't get initiated to be Ia of the Grand. It's people walking around, especially older initiates that got initiated 10, 20 years ago. You wouldn't even know they initiated because they didn't get initiated to do work. They got initiated. They didn't get initiated to do this Orisha work. They got initiated to save themselves so they could do whatever destiny they came here to fulfill. Excuse me. The grand scheme, Ifa is for you. It is for you to align your mind, body, and spirit. When I do divination, it is not an Ifa divination. That is my spiritual path. So the remedies that are associated may be things I offer, but I read from your ancestors. Lately, the conversation, a lot of Egbe work has been coming up. So I want to pass that on because it's been coming on to me. And it's been a conversation, so everybody look into what Egbe is. Sister did a wonderful podcast on Voices of Iwa, and she talked about Egbe. I suggest everybody check that episode out. But I think it's important that we know your shadow work has to be done. You got to work on self, or else. Even if you have a great work to do for the people, you'll burn out early. If we look at a lot of our great, phenomenal leaders, you see that they did a great work for a second, but they have these huge, staining character flaws. Huge, right? Like troublesome. Like when you, I ain't gonna call no names because that ain't my pot to do. That's not what I'm here for. But if we look at some of the great things that Africans in America have, or moments we've had, we look at these people and then we see these really bad character flaws, horrible womanizing, abuse, alcoholism, pedophilia. There's a lot of glaring character issues from a lot of people who did great things for Africans. Some of the things we should not throw away those things because of those people's character flaws. One big controversial figure is Kwanzaa, right? Mm-hmm. We know what has been proven of the brother. Oh, that's the book too. I just
Oh,
thought it. Yes.
and listen, I was trying to upload it. I didn't want to interrupt you. I was going to share it after, but when I
Oh,
uploaded it, it
that's the
went right
book
to the
too. Yeah,
daggone
no.
screen, man. But I
Yeah,
want to share
man.
that.
It's time for study. That's where we gotta be, because I feel like it's been said too many times that that's the missing piece. And we as Africans are also putting this culture back together. We as Africans in America are piecing this culture back piece by piece. But when we talk about so we can't go without dealing with that. Egg will help with that tremendously. You've got to work on your character flaws. We cannot do this work and have shoddy character. I work diligently on my character flaws. It's important to me. Good character is I'm a person whose good character is important to me. When I miss a step, I try to correct that, right? And I have moments where I miss a step a lot. And I have to own that. Because sometimes I overcommit, and I can say it like that, but the reality of it is, if I tell you I'm gonna be somewhere and I don't be somewhere, if I tell you I'm gonna do something and I don't do something, I lie. So if I'm lying, whether impact trumps intent every day, right? Whether I mean no harm, but I did that. So in order for me to make sure I'm a woman of my word, I've been more mindful about not overbooking myself. So I check my calendar. Because whether charge it to my head, not my heart. Granted, I receive that, and I give the people that grace too. But if I'm going to tell you our character is important to me, I can't be known as a person that flakes. So I have to not overcommit myself. So sometimes I have to learn to tell people no, because that slot's already booked, and I have to remember that I told somebody yes, and I live a very first come, first serve life. So if you ask me to be somewhere, I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. And then they say, yeah, I'm gonna be there. And them the same day as on the same day, I can't. Somebody I just lied to. So we work on character, because most people I know don't have like real glaring stuff, but some people have some really glaring stuff, and we don't want that to hinder the mission, because we live in an age now where you can't get away with that. So you got like these real big character flaws, they will disintegrate you in 5 minutes on the internet as soon as they find it out. So own your stuff, own it, work on your character flaws. We know what they are. So that's why your shadow work is important. That's why your shadow work is important. And so it's also important so you know the why. You got to know why you do the stuff you do. Like talking about shadow work with me overbooking or committing myself to stuff, right? I do that because I grew up with a people pleaser. I grew up people pleasing, right? I grew up wanting people to accept me, because I've never felt fully accepted. And then through Oloku and understanding that through growing up and becoming 40 something, 40 came with like a whole bucket of fuck it. So that was grateful. Like, care. And also knowing that I'm a child of Olokun, and Olokun has very few children, I'm always a different person. Even amongst my fellow priests, I'd be a different person. You know what I mean? I'm still the different one. And for a long time, that left me in a place that I wasn't sure. So I used to always try and make myself available to people to show them that I'm a personable person, that I'm not a weirdo. And then now I don't care. But I also know that if I want to be considered a solid woman of my word, I have to be mindful of how I commit myself, and then following through. So character is important. It's very important. So your shadow work does have to be done, but as far as whether it's pre or post initiation, I don't know. That's or Ifase. Ifase that. You don't go seek, you don't go asking for this. You wait till this asks for you. You know, you wait till Ifase it's time. And then you work to make sure you prepare for that. That's how I see it. Like, if the coward don't say that's the move, but I am obedient to. So there's that. So I'm gonna do what if I say. Some people take divination as Because it is. Ifa's not set in stone. You can do whatever you want. Ifa is just saying, if you choose make this choice, this is the possible outcome. If you don't make this choice, this is the possible outcome. I personally, if Ifa says make this choice to get this outcome, I do my best to make that choice to get that outcome. That's who I am. That's how I live my life. That's how my life has been as smooth as it has been in recent years. It's just making that choice. So to each their own. But I feel like shadow work is important for your walk in life. Pre or post initiation, I don't know though, because my biggest shadow work came post initiation for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's deep. And I love the answer because it's always about perspective. You know what I'm saying? Because you can see things one way, I can see it another way, and somebody else in the crowd or the audience can see it another way. You know what I'm saying? It's always perspective. And I think
Absolutely.
that's what makes everything, I think, so beautiful in regards to life. Even like when you said, you know, if I could tell you that this is what this is going to be and this is what that's going to be, and if you know, this is what the probabilities of this being is, and you know, it's totally up to us because we have free will. But that was a very powerful answer, and it reminded me of a lot of different things. But I think one of the main things is I'll never forget the first time I went to a Hand of Ifa ceremony. Shout out to Ifayemi out of Vegas. I had an event out there, and I remember she invited me to come to the ceremony. And mind you, this was like in the very beginning of my journey. I don't even think I might have had my Elekes. I can't remember, but either way it goes, if I had them, she didn't see them because I had on a suit like this and everything was tucked in. And so, anyway, long story short, they invited me to a Hand of Ifa ceremony, and she was an Igungun priest, and then, but she was a child of Imoja. And then the Babalawo, you know, did the ceremony. It was dope, man, because that was my first time ever seeing anything Ifa related in real life. Like prior to that, you know, I've seen like I got divinations from there, you know, and worked with the Mary Day Lagoon and all that. But as a, you know, as a client, as a recipient, but I never seen Ifa. I never seen the Opele in real life. I never seen I never seen any of that. So it was so dope that being on the other side of the corporation from where I was born and raised at, I think it might have been one of the first 2 or 3 times I've ever been on the West Coast. But to have Ifa kind of open the door and the pathway to that experience was so powerful to me. It was profound, actually. But it brings me back to the initial question. That was the very first time I had ever heard of someone having to get initiated to save their life. I didn't know that was a thing. And then after that, I actually know, now that you said that, I know at least maybe 2 or 3 people personally that, you know, that's the same, you know, situation. So I never knew that about you either. And for me, it was, you know, Baba made the call. He was like, hey, this is what you need to do. Like, I'm
There
like,
you go.
I don't know if I'm ready to do that, Baba, but I believe in you if you believe in me. You know what I'm saying?
That's how I go.
Yeah, and, you know, and here we are. But I do know one thing, man, is like the significance of doing the work. It's another level of, I feel like, beingness, because one of the things that I've realized really from birth, but I feel like now more than ever with us being, you know, unks and aunties and all that good stuff, you know, I'm grateful to make it that far, you know what I mean? But it's like at the same time, I think one of the things I'm most grateful for is like being able to hear the call or hear the message when it's being communicated, like you were saying earlier, because that gives me the opportunity to course correct in the moment or on the spot or within a very, very short time of realizing, oh shit, I fucked up.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not condoning doing that because I hate doing that because I'm a competitor. I like to win at everything. I know you can't and it ain't possible, but that's how hard I want to. Like for real. Like,
I
you know,
know more about the lies. That's why I laugh. I know y'all. Baby, y'all know about the lies, baby. Ooh, losing? All right. My daughter's on more about that lie. I understand.
Man, so you already know. You already know what it is, but I say all that to say that I don't know if there's anything I'm more grateful for than, I guess, the ability to hear or the opportunity to know that you have to course correct and you have to course correct now. You know what I'm saying? When you done did some crazy ish or whatever. But I say all that to say, man, I think when it comes to that, how significant, and this is my last question because I know we probably went a little bit past time. How significant do you feel like I guess knowing thyself. I won't even say like shadow work, but let's just say knowing thyself prior to taking the leap to go into this journey and this path.
I don't know what that means because I didn't through my shadow work. That's how I knew. I knew. I think it's important to anybody, right? But I think in order to even be able to hear the call, you got to know yourself a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You already to even hear the call, you got to be set aside because there are those. But everybody, keep your eye on your own mat. Everybody path is different. I just seen some wicked people get initiated, right? And I just seen, my Eolosha. Yeah. Oshun Olafima is Oshun wrapped in flesh. You understand what I'm saying? She's definitely Omo Oshun. One of the sweetest, purest spirits you'll ever meet. And super intelligent. But definitely out of her own mouth, she will use the term she is a slave for Oshun. So if Yeye says initiate, she initiate. And I'm that's why I'm nobody's godmother right now. Because I don't have that Iwa Puele, which is that balanced character to understand that my job is just my job. Because she's definitely initiated some sapsuckers that if I ever get my hands on, from the way they talked about my Eolosha said things with that. What is there to say about Oshun Guade, right? But what the words and Kendrick for her, I inherit the beef. You understand what I'm saying? So listen, I inherit the beef. So it's still people right now that they better not speak to me in public because but she initiated them anyway with grace that only a Eolosha can, that only a balanced Ianifa can. And so we all got a walk to go because I'm not that balanced yet. And the things I've seen people do and say about her, yeah, I don't know if I would be so gracious as she has been, but she does her work and continuously does her work. So, that means that if Ifa say it's time, then it's time. And them people might not know themselves well because you can only do character correction if you know yourself. So there's people out here who don't even know themselves. They may not, that chamber of their brain, Obatala has not been given that chamber of their brain yet to even access to work his science on, to open it up for them to do that. So I feel like nobody should get initiated before it's time. I feel like just because you got money in your pocket, you shouldn't be getting initiated. And I also feel like the responsibility of that Babalawo, Babalosha, Ialosha, Ianifa to discern. And so I trust that to be the relationship between them and Ifa. What does Ifa say? Does Ifa say for them to do that? Does Ifa say that is going to be beneficial for their life and for the people around them, or to do that? So I think you definitely gonna learn yourself on the way because you get a new name. So what is it to know thyself? Olomitutu is Olomitutu. I didn't meet Olomitutu until 4 years ago. And we've been learning and existing in this body of who am I as Olomitutu? What does it mean to be the owner of fresh water? What does it mean to be the owner of cool water? What does that mean for me? Because I apparently I'm a hothead. Go figure. So to know how I have to be the owner of cool water is it, and it's always been there, right? Because I enjoy being diplomatic. I think it's important for us to see all perspectives, even if I don't agree with someone's perspective. I honor their right to have it. Even when I don't agree, I honor their right to have it. Black people, I honor your right to have it. Even when I don't agree, but having to remember that I have to present that's where the cool water comes in. So I say you got to know, I would say if anything for this walk, you gotta know that this walk is for your personal character development. The relationship with Ifa and the Orisha is to bring you back to the understanding of nature.
Mm.
Nature is balanced. Nature's scary. Nature has a lot of things. And so to bring you back to your understanding of nature. And then from there, you can do your work and what you can do for African people. Because if you're not using the spiritual system to heal the African, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you got it for.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Mothers have spoken. Yes, sir. Listen, and I agree with you with the. I didn't know you was considered to be a hothead. I didn't know. Look, I did know I don't want no smoke. I ain't want no problems. I know that, but I didn't know. But I'm gonna say this: I know I definitely had one, and you know I know it's still lingering around somewhere. I do my best to keep it far away,
my baba.
far away. But I
Yeah.
know one thing though, to like, in regards to just being real and raw and reflection, I wholeheartedly thought I was a child of Shango, you know, until I had, you know, till the shells fell in the Eleke ceremony, man. But it makes so much perfect sense now why, you know, Baba came and snatched me up. You're like, oh, no, we not doing that. No, sir. No, you talking about.
I thought it was Yemoja until Olokun took me by surprise. I definitely thought Yemoja.
But you in vicinity, you in close proximity though.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But me,
you are too though. You are though.
Yeah.
The red and white and the red and the white and Shango is Obatala and Ogun.
Yeah.
You're very the balance. It's the balance of the two. So yeah. And you is your role the one red bead world? Yeah. See. Oh yeah. Now.
I got them on now.
There you go. Oh yeah, nah, that made sense. Now Obatala is very hot because you know Obatala the old man, he know everything. He was the first one down here, so he's very hot headed. You know. Let me tell it. The character Jesus is Obatala. He just reminds me of it a lot. Like they, yeah.
But they left out a lot of that. They left out a lot in that story. So anyway,
right.
Oh man. Okay, we got one last question. The Lovely said, "Do you recognize or do you have any more Yoruba tradition books that you'll recommend?"
That's the Egbe, the Erun Egbe. I haven't read it yet. I'm gonna tell you that I haven't read it yet, but I recommend it because I just because I saw the author's viewpoint, her character, and we could walk it together if you like. Yeah. As far as books go, I gotta tell you, I would recommend divination before I recommend a book. I would recommend getting consistent divination and getting with the house that studies collectively. I tell anybody, listen, I'm part of a phenomenal elay. Go where spirit leads you. But my Yolosha is one of the most learned constant students who brings this information in, and she's a fountain of wisdom and understanding of the Orisha, especially with that relationship with the Orisha here in the States. Because that matters. Nature is nature all over. However, nature is different. The way trees grow in Nigeria are different than the way trees grow in Florida, are different than the way the trees grow in Brazil. They're slightly different. The trees that grow are different. What takes for them to grow is different. What plants grow. So therefore, the Orisha have a different flavor everywhere to go. So because of that, I don't discount people who have godparents that are on the continent. I would also suggest that, including your godparents, or if you have godparents on the continent, that if you are wherever you are in the diaspora, if it is available to you to get someone who understands this culture and also lives in your neck of the woods, as far as the culture in which you were reared in, because that matters with the flavor of the Orisha. But I would suggest continue to watch shows like this. There's a brother that I love on YouTube. His channel is called Why Sherry, and he talks about the Yoruba culture from a Yoruba perspective, but he speaks a lot in English, so you're able to understand that. But as far as books, like I tell you, I didn't get a lot. Most of the books that I have, I didn't understand until I was in the culture and could go back and read them. John Mason books are good though. If you want to pick up, I think he has a book called African Gods. Baba Mason has a good book.
Another good one. The Four New World Yoruba Ritual. It's a good one too.
Yes. It's a little convoluted, but the one that is good reading direct is his African Gods book. That's a good one too. He has a good one called African Gods. He has a text on Olokun. That was a phenomenal book. He has a song book with, if you can get it, I think it has a disc in the back of it. I don't know where you're gonna play it at because I ain't had nowhere to play a CD, which is funny. But I don't know. If you want to send me a friend request on Facebook, and then as I come across stuff, I'll share, and we can share and exchange with each other. But this is that I'm glad you asked that question though, sis, because what I want us to know is that the European has convinced us that books are a more intelligent device than oral tradition. And in fact, oral tradition, we are genius people. So this tradition is an oral tradition because breath, your ashe is in your breath. So therefore, it should be an oral tradition because it's ever living and ever changing. That is why there is 401 Orisha, 201 Orisha, because tomorrow you could be an Orisha. We don't know. When you grow. So because this is an oral tradition, it's important to sit down and have conversation because we're communal people. And the books will make more sense once you have those connections as well. But yeah, I have a few books, but not a whole lot. I didn't get a lot of this from books. So and yeah, so as far as texts go, I would say Mason's books are really good. They're a good foundation. But then the primary thing is you're going to want to get under some tutelage, somebody who is consistent in the work. And sometimes that's difficult, but depends on where you are. Iatinibu's in the Atlanta area. So we have people around. We can connect you with some folks. It's some powerful folks out there if you want to connect that do this culture justice. So but yeah, I don't have too many books on the spiritual system. So because I learned most of this hands-on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everybody's not blessed to have that though.
Right.
I was sharing on the last podcast with the brother Hank about how I went like 7-8 years with just 2 books. And shout out to Pisces Pratt. I don't know if you were on wrong comment. I don't know if you were on the call on Uncle Hank's, but I shared that I only had 2 books for like 8-9 years in my journey. I had Jambalaya by Chief Louis Satish, and then I had the handbook by Baba Ifayemi. And literally that's all I had was those 2 books. But they held me over, they held me down until I met Yeye, and it's like what you just shared there is first, let me go back to the divination part, because that part within itself, I feel like is a lot more valuable than any book you could ever read, because that's your book. That's something that I share. I forgot who it was. It was another, who was it? It was another priestess. I can't remember who it was, but I was asking them if they like documented all of their divinations, right? And for me, I didn't. And it wasn't like I wasn't responsible enough, but it was like every time I got one, it was almost like my mind was almost like in the Matrix or something. Like it's like the energy just was so surreal. Like I couldn't even I guess compartmentalize to like get myself to take the notes or whatever. But I remember a lot of them, but I wish I would have took notes. But I say all that to say, when you receive that message, that's your book. Like that's your book. There's nobody else. It's like your fingerprints, just like, you know what I'm saying? Like your tears, your footprint, like nobody else in this world is going to have that book, that message, that Odu, that message transmuted from Ifa. Nobody else in the world is going to have that. That's
Right.
all yours. So it's like, then now what do you do with that once you get it? Because then that's where we come back to where we are now, where, okay, the difference between those who really doing and those who ain't. Or those who, you know what I'm saying, is making an impact positively or whatever, living the life of Iwa and those who aren't. So I feel like that's where we should start. But then at the same time, you can start with self. If you ain't doing divinations, meditate. Talk to the ancestors. Talk to the trees. Hug them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of energy being transmuted through nature. And the Orishas are all aspects of nature.
Yeah, people downplay the grounding. Take your shoes off and put them in the dirt. Absolutely. Take your shoes and put your feet in the dirt. That will that's something you can do no matter if you can get to some earth, some ile, and ground yourself. That's important. Yes, Baba Karaday's book. I'm gonna tell you about that one. That was another book for me that I bought soon as I came into the culture because I was like that too. Give me books, right? Give me books. Because I'm a book person. And then I bought that book and I read it and I listened to the audiobook and I had to put it down. It took me about 2 years of going to temple on a regular basis before I was even able to comprehend what the book was talking about.
Wow.
So a lot of times we grab books. I mean, and everybody's comprehension is different. The world is different too now than it was over a decade ago when it comes to this culture. You can find stuff about this culture anywhere on the internet. Whereas we were scouring and guessing just a decade ago, right? Trying to translate stuff from Spanish just a decade ago.
Yeah.
So, everybody's different. Everybody has their walk. But though Dr. Karaday's book is a really good book. Once you're at a certain level. So if you get the book and you don't understand it or you don't get what they're talking about, don't panic because I didn't. If you got any questions, I'm always available to answer questions. I've had people hit me up a couple of times and we weren't able to schedule. We had scheduling conflicts. But I will say this: if you book with me, and we book a session, always call me. If I say, hey, we're at 8, whether it be on Facebook Messenger. If I've given you permission to call me on Facebook Messenger, you can. People who just randomly call me on Facebook Messenger, you won't get an answer. Because what? But if we booked an appointment, give me a call at the time of the appointment. I am Eastern. So if I ever tell you a time, it is Eastern. So you figure out what that time that is for you in your time zone. Because if I say 7 p.m., I mean 7 p.m. Eastern. Also, if we have a divination and you have a prescription, remind me of what it is because I'm not going to remember. I would suggest we record the conversation. But if not, that's all. And do that. And this is for diviners anyway, just to see why I OA. Because when the spirit comes down, I may not remember what I just told you 2 minutes ago. Because that's different than what we're sitting here talking about. You know what I mean? Spirit, come on, man. I don't know what I just said 2 minutes ago because it wasn't me. So you better be listening. If you missed it, we missed it. So I might remember, I might not, but I can't guarantee. But I record my divinations now, but I remember in the early years I didn't write them down either, and I wish I had. But even in this walk, even with being initiated, we get divination on a regular basis.
Oh yeah.
So those who are not initiated, when I wasn't initiated, I got divination every 30 days, like clockwork for years. It was just in the budget because I was at a point in my life where I needed it.
Me too.
And now I'm a little further along to where I might not have to do every 30 days. But I go at least once a quarter. And I get full on divination, and we got to see, we got to check in, and it doesn't even matter if I'm going through something or not, or when I get a feeling that says get a divination, or when I'm throwing OB and I can't divine for myself, I'll go get a reading. And I also advise not to be a divination hopper. I know a lot of people do that, right? They get a reading from somebody this week, somebody next week, and
it's a lot of that. They call them
Baba hoppers.
Yeah, hoppers. Yeah, hopscotch.
I wouldn't advise on it.
Nah.
If you meet somebody and you trust their energy, why not? And their ability? Why not just stick with one diviner? I do. I'm not speaking for nobody else. I just don't understand the logic in 17 different divinations unless you don't trust what you heard.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then don't sit with them.
Yeah. That, and also I know people that's done it and literally they can go to 3-4 different diviners from different cultures. Don't even be in the same, just tradition. Same exact message by a matter of degree. I mean, identical, right? And then funny because, you know, I've had people that will come to me and want me to do work, like eyeballs and things of that nature from somebody else's doing. Like, no, I can't do that, man. I got to, if
Right.
you want me to do anything, first and foremost, I got to divide, I got to see what Ify is telling me before
That's
I can do
right.
anything. Because now if Ify says that that is the prescription, okay, cool. But if not, nah, I can't do that. Because
Right.
it's like going to the barbershop and trying to take over after another barber messed up somebody's hair. You know what I'm saying? You try to
Right.
repair it and fit. No, I can't. Or starting the surgery,
Ooh.
jumping into a surgery when it's middle of the operation and somebody else will open them up and all that. Then they want you to come in and reconnect the arteries and the. No, I can't do that because
Yeah,
I don't know what the real. I don't know what the diagnosis was for you to even have to be
right.
called into the surgery. Let alone am I going to come in and join and take over this? No, I can't do that. So. That's
And that's another thing too. We don't give this as much reverence as we would give the doctor.
Yeah.
Or is that, and this is a divine surgery. Yeah. This is a diagnosis. Also, I'm like, people also come to you and try and pit you against other people's readings.
Yeah.
Like you come up with something. The last person, I wasn't there. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Maybe that was true yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they said they doing this for this. I don't.
Yeah. Oh, and it does change by the day, literally, because what's going on in today's atmosphere is not this. Today's weather is not tomorrow's weather. It ain't yesterday.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's how it goes.
Yeah, and if you find yourself, I think a lot of people who get divination, especially when they're new, don't trust their selves. And that's where meditation comes in and the conversations. But in order to know what you're hearing, you do have to couple those things together, right? Meditate. But you've got to learn we've all got to learn how to focus ourselves. That's the one point of reading for 10 minutes a day. It don't even have to be a book on none of this that we're talking about. Just focus yourself into knowing that for 10 minutes a day, you're going to put non-fictional information in your body. And that's a form of concentration. But 10 minutes a day, say you're gonna listen to positive music. You know what I'm saying? I love me a little piece of Glorilla and all of them. You know, I like my little ratchet music. You see me riding down the street, you might be embarrassed by what I play, Baba. But listen, you got today.
Look, my daddy told me, you got a belly button, you ain't purpose. I know damn well I ain't purpose. So I ain't looking at you.
Listen, but concentrate, folks, on changing the music that you listen to. Even when you listen to your old sad R&B songs, why you putting that in your spirit? Why you putting that in? I don't listen to sad love music no more. One, I ain't got no problems. Two, why am I just because it's nostalgic don't mean I should be feeding my brain this. So listen to positive music. Watch positive things. Get in the habit of listening to audiobooks and documentaries on tangible things and how you can apply them to your life. You never know, you might find a skill set. You might find something you like to do. And get a valuable skill set too. That's my last thing for the night. Get a valuable skill set, something that you can do if you can't do nothing else. I taught my daughter how to do locks.
I see.
I got a sewing machine for my birthday. I'm working on magical things. I'm gonna learn how to sew some stuff. So and me and my sister, me and Akanke were just talking about canning. And we got the canning kit. So find you something that's sustainable, that can help feed your in the lean times. That's just a warning for the future. We finna see things in America we ain't seen before.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We getting ready to move in ways that they have fooled us into thinking only happens in other places. And it's going to shock a lot of our systems, and it's going to cause a grand boost in criminality because we're not going to have the viable skills to feed, clothe, and house ourselves or protect ourselves when we do have those things. And it's going to come within our lifetime, and it's going to come swiftly. So prepare yourself. Wherever you are, learn to get out of isolation. There's somebody watching this right now who has deliberately put themselves in a place where they don't have any friends. Get you some friends, honey. Learn to talk to somebody, lean out to somebody. If you just want to shoot the breeze, send me a voice message on Facebook. We can learn to talk. But you have to learn to build those relationships. They're going to save your life. They're going to save the lives of your children. Africans are trustworthy. We are good people. We do love one another. We do look out for one another. We women do love each other. We are trustworthy. Black men have each other's back. Men are safe spaces, women. Women are safe spaces, men. We have got to get out of these negative narratives because I do not live that life, and I don't live that life because I don't subscribe to that. When I am around Black men, I am safe. When I am not safe around Black males, I remove myself and go to where there is safety. But as far as those people I hang with, I'm friends with, I build with, I trust my daughter with, these people are good people and they've been in my life 10 years or better because I made that conscious decision to, one, be that person, and two, consciously seek out those groups. And if you are unable to make friends, if you're unable to find tribe, if you're unable to make those connections, then let's have a conversation and maybe we could bounce around some ideas as to why. But I want us to connect with people who are like-minded on the same page, whether that be joining Facebook groups in your local city about gardening in Tampa Bay, gardening in Kentucky, I don't know, wherever you are, or homesteading in Indiana, wherever you are, find your tribe. Get you a hobby that is outside of your comfort zone that you can build with, and find Black people who like that, like you. And make those connections. We got to get groups, and we got to get together, and we got to get organized, and we got to do it now.
Expeditiously.
Yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, boy. Well, I tell you what, I appreciate you, and I'm gonna share one last thing that I did share this, and I don't know if it's on another call on the channel or whatever. But anyway, there's one thing that I feel like we should practice collectively, and that's like remote viewing or at least communicating through telepathy. Because that's something that we all do, whether you realize it or not. When you think about your mama, she call you, that's telepathy. When you think about your daughter, she call you, that's telepathy. When you think about your homegirl, she call you, we're doing it all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like all the time. And so it's like, that's something that we can direct it intentionally and just be organized and dedicated and disciplined to doing. And that within itself is a whole nother, you know what I'm saying? Now we're moving in the fifth dimension spiritually or mind's eye, you know what I'm saying, on that frequency, but yet our bodies, we still can remote control the body. So now we are, you know what I'm saying, doing what we're supposed to do with the egg bay and O-room, but yet we can still operate here as being ambidextrous, working both sides. So yeah, that was just a little something Spirit gave me to share on the way out. So you got anything else for me? Yeah, or you want to ride on that one?
No, you just love on somebody Black this week. Tell somebody they beautiful when you just walk and compliment another African. Be good to one another. Even if it's met with the other stuff, just keep on walking. But make it a habit to make other Black folks smile. Make it a habit to be good to yourself. Be good to yourself. Make good choices for yourself and your health and your children. And give yourself grace. You're just not learning this stuff, and you've been through a lot of trauma. You're not late. You're right on time. Be before Hodier.
I see. Hey, listen, and you can start in the mirror. Mike said it best, starting with the man or the woman in the mirror. Look, love you and boo you up, boo-boo, because you know that's what we've been doing around here, man. So boo, ain't no boo like the one you got. Boo you know what I'm saying? And then go boo somebody else up too.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So with that, man, I appreciate y'all, tribe. Yeah, I appreciate you. Much love and appreciation for all the work that you do
so much
for the brothers, man, and what you're doing in the community. You know, I definitely appreciate it, as well as the tribe. I appreciate y'all, man. So I definitely look forward to seeing y'all. I think we're coming back again tomorrow night. So yeah, we'll see y'all tomorrow, tribe. So with that, you know, don't forget to please like, share, subscribe. We'll see y'all in the next episode, family. We out. Peace. Odabo.
Peace, Odabo.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé ṣàpò ìyàpọ̀ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo ṣe ní gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and praise your